Okay, I have a non-spoiler review of Captain Marvel somewhere else. I'm sure you can find if you want to find it. But this one here will have spoilers, so spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. If you're going to watch the film, you probably don't want to listen to the spoilers. Maybe you do. Maybe you're interested in hearing what happens and then watching it. I don't know. Just a general recap from a non-spoiler review. The film isn't terrible. The film isn't great. It's pretty meh. It's difficult to pinpoint why it's not better than it is. All of the little bits are there. I personally think the writing for Brie Larson's character was terrible. The writing for the other characters is quite good, so I don't know what's happening there, other than it may be a very good portrayal of what the actual character is. The character itself might just be a bland, emotionless, sexless, androgynous character. I don't know. If that's what the character is, it's a faithful portrayal of the comics, but I don't think it would be. And even if it is, the movie should change it to be something that's actually interesting for people to watch. So the writing for a lot of her character is the problem with the film generally. The film isn't great or good because her character is crap. There's no easy way to really put it, and I don't think it's because Brie Larson's acting was necessarily bad. I think the writing's bad. Anyway, onto some spoilers. The general gist of the story is the Kree and the Skrull are fighting a war with each other. Brie Larson's character, Captain Marvel, which is called Vers at that point. The reason she's called Vers is because they recover her with a bit of a dog tag, and her name's Carol Danvers. And so Danvers just chopped into Vers, so that's how she got the name Vers. It's just what was left on the dog tags when they discover it. Anyway, she's with the Kree. The Skrull are the green guys. They can shapeshift. And basically, the Skrulls, the green guys, they're the good guys, but Brie Larson's fighting for the wrong team at the start, and the main plot shift is when she realizes that, oh, she's actually playing for the genocidal team trying to wipe out some refugees, and then she sort of switches around to help the green refugees. And so the character that Ben Mendelsohn plays, which I said in my other review, he's probably the best thing in the film. He does a really good job. He's kind of the bad guy at the start, but he's not the bad guy, and he's the good guy. He's written quite funnily, and he does a pretty good job. So that's the main plot of the film. Jude Law starts off as Captain Marvel's mentor. He trains her up. It's not done in any sort of sexist way, at least I don't think it was. I could see people trying to say, oh, he's going to do some mansplaining and he's going to, tell her to toughen up or she's not good enough. But no, that doesn't really happen with the Jude Law character. Now, he does mention that she needs to control her emotions because when the two of them are fighting each other in practice, her hands light up as if she's going to blow him up with her superpowers. So quite rightly, he doesn't want her to get so angry that she'll zap him. And so I suppose if you want to be super critical or super social justicey, you could say, oh my god, he's trying to tell her how to act. But he's her superior officer and he's just trying to tell her not to murder him. So um, I'm still interested to see what other people, what so-called real journalists have put in their reviews compared to the way that I interpreted the events. And obviously, when Captain Marvel switches teams from the Kree to the Skrulls, she then has to fight Jude Law and his other band of people. But he doesn't really come off as the bad guy. So he is fighting her, and if she's the protagonist, then he's obviously maybe the antagonist. But it's a lot grayer than that. It's not a clear cut, oh, you're bad. Although he is working for the side that's doing some sort of intergalactic genocide. So I suppose it would be like arguing that there's an SS colonel that's not really a bad guy. Well, it's probably a difficult argument to make because he's in the SS. So this fella Jude Law, his people are trying to wipe out all of the Skrulls. Maybe they have a good reason for that. Maybe the Skrulls did some horrible things to them in the past. But the way it's portrayed in the film is the Skrulls are friendly refugees just trying to survive, and the Kree are just trying to wipe out every single last vestige of them. Near the start of the film, Captain Marvel gets captured by the Skrulls by Ben Mendelsohn, and they put her into some sort of memory thing to go back into her memories to try to locate a secret laboratory that somehow they know that she knows. In fact, they know why she would know where it is. So that's where you get the scenes that you see in the trailer. The sort of the little girl falling off her bike. There's a scene that a part of that might not be in the trailer where she's playing baseball and someone throws the ball near her and she kind of falls out the way, and then a guy comes out. In fact, no, I think I've remembered that wrong. When she falls off a go-kart, she kind of crashes the go-kart. A guy comes out and is like, "You've got no business being out here," and then you find out from a photo later on that that was her father, and so she's not cool with the guys and she's not cool with her father, but it doesn't really come off that way in the rest of the film. I said they could have chopped out all of that stuff and it wouldn't really have affected anything at all, I don't think, but it's something that I think Disney is fearful that the social justice warriors will cry if it's not in there, and so they've put it in there to appease the social justice warriors. I don't feel that it was put in there to really push a sort of feminist propaganda. I think there's an argument you can make that it is, of course, but it felt more to me that Disney's fearful of criticism from social justice warriors and they want to appease them rather than, okay, let's push this onto people. But it's very interpretational and very political at this stage, so who knows what people are really thinking. But anyway, that sort of starts Captain Marvel on her sort of, I don't know who these people are, I don't remember these memories, but that's kind of my memory. So she's not sure if this is something the Skrulls are doing to her to play a trick on her, or if she's got these hidden memories from a past life. And so through most of the film, she's suffering from amnesia, and she goes through, remembering, oh, okay, I was in fact this completely different person, and so on. And I think this leads to some of the problems in the writing for her because she doesn't have a past. They've also decided that means she doesn't have a personality, which I don't think you should do that. I don't know if that's medically accurate or not, but who cares? She doesn't know anything about herself, and so she's just fairly bland, and there just has to be a better way to do it. If not, the premise needs to be removed. The whole idea that she has amnesia, so therefore she's, bland, wooden board, no emotions, that it doesn't seem the best way to write her. And when she gets her memories back, she doesn't really change. There's not really, oh, okay, this is the person I was, or here, I have a personality. No, she's still fairly bland. She does smile a bit here and there. She tries to crack a few sarcastic lines. I don't think they worked very well. But in general, she has no memory, she has no character. Samuel Jackson looks younger. It doesn't look that bad. I didn't really think it looked terrible. The other guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Coulson, he's in there. He looks younger, but I don't think he looks young enough. If the film's supposed to be 25 years earlier, I'm not really sure how old he's supposed to be in the series, but I would say maybe he's like 45 or 50, so he should be something like 20, 25, and he doesn't look that young. He does look younger, though. And Nick Fury, I don't know, is he supposed to be 65 and now he's 40? I'm not sure, but he does look a fair bit younger. Whereas Agent Coulson, I don't think he looks young enough, but the effects look fine. I didn't look at it and go, oh, that looks bad. The de-aging, I thought, was fine for what it was. Annette Bening plays Mar-Vell, which I guess will probably annoy people that read the comics. They've changed it to be a woman. She is hiding on Earth and trying to create a greater than light speed device to help the Skrulls escape from the Kree. So she's a Kree, but she's now working to help the Skrulls. And I don't know why she's on Earth. I don't think that's really explained why she does the job there. Maybe it's to hide down on Earth. And she uses the Tesseract, the cube, to power her inventions. So that's really where everything in the film comes from. I'm a little bit hazy on what the history of the Tesseract was in the Marvel Universe. Maybe I could look it up, but I mean, it was in Captain America. Red Skull was using it to make all his weapons, and then I think Tony Stark's father rescued it from where Captain America crashed the plane at the end of the film. And then I guess it was given to S.H.I.E.L.D., and then S.H.I.E.L.D. handed it over to Annette Bening's character, Mar-Vell, or I can't remember what she was called. She's called Dr. something. Larson, I think Dr. Larson maybe was her name. But I guess she kind of works for S.H.I.E.L.D. It said NASA was who was inventing the light speed stuff. some sort of government agency. So I think that's the order of things happening. I'm not sure. And then presumably at the end of the film, the Tesseract is back in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. slightly after the film, I should say. And then Annette Bening plays a second character. The Kree are ruled by a supreme intelligence, some sort of AI, and when you hook into it, it just kind of interfaces with your brain, sort of plugs into you. You see the person that you admire the most, and so Captain Marvel admires Annette Bening's Dr. Larson character from Earth more than anyone else, and so the Supreme Intelligence is also played by Annette Bening. It's a completely different character. It's not Marvel, but it's the same actress in the role that's the sort of supreme ruler of all of the Kree, and it really looks like that's where you get sent when you've done some wrong think or you're not behaving correctly, and you get sort of zapped a bit, or you get re-educated, or you get this is how you should be behaving, and we'll punish you if you don't. So a bit of a tyranny running over there, but obviously they're running a genocidal galaxy-wide ordeal. So yeah, they're run by some sort of tyrant computer system. So through the flashbacks of Captain Marvel's memory and just the way the story sort of combined together, you find out that she was flying this special light speed device that the Doctor, played by Annette Bening, was developing, and they were getting shot at by someone. And at first you're sort of told that it's the Skrulls that were shooting at him, but it was the Kree that was shooting at him, and they end up forcing him down the ground. The guy that Jude Law plays, he shoots the Annette Bening Dr. Lawson character, kills her, and then he's going to kill Captain Marvel before she's Captain Marvel, when she's Carol Danvers. But Carol Danvers turns her gun on the engine of this faster than light speed craft and explodes the craft, and she then absorbs the power from this engine, which was created by the Tesseract. So she doesn't actually get her powers from the Tesseract directly, but she shoots this engine that explodes next to her, and instead of tearing her in half, she kind of absorbs this power. And then Jude Law decides, for reasons unknown, that instead of killing her, because he was about to kill her, that because she's absorbed the power, it might be useful to keep her alive. So he then gives us some of his Kree blood, and that sort of turns her into half Kree, and that might give her some of her strength. It's a bit vague on what that does, but it keeps her alive. And then she's lost a memory. I'm not sure if it's explicitly in the film whether she lost the memory due to the explosion or if they actually wiped her memory. But either way, she has no memory of who she was, and they tell her, "Oh, your name's Burs, and you're one of us, and you're helping us fight this war against these evil green guys who are trying to wipe us out." Whereas obviously in reality, they're trying to wipe the other side out. So Carol Danvers is basically lied to, but she's just a good little soldier, and she helps with the other soldiers do missions and that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit questionable whether or not Jude Law should have even kept her alive in the first place. I mean, she was just this random human that he didn't know. He was shooting down a craft. She then blew up an engine next to her. She absorbed it, and then they decided, oh, she'll be good to join our army, but she seems to have more power than everyone in the universe, and the Kree try to control it. They have some sort of chip they put in the back of her neck, and the Supreme Intelligence is able to curb her powers. In fact, Jude Law, I think, is able to curb her powers as well. So they keep her in check, and they use the excuse of, once you've got your emotions under control, we'll let you free, or let you use your powers. But she's not really emotionally out of control at all. She just gets a bit angry at points in times, which would be perfectly fine to get angry. She's not some raving lunatic. She just, when she gets beaten up, her hands start to glow a bit to fight back. It's really not like, oh my god, you're emotionally out of control. It's nothing like that. Agent Coulson isn't in the film very much. Very, very small part from him. There's a sort of plot hole where the Skrulls are out, they're shape-shifting around, they're pretending to be other people, and then Fury is trying to escape. It's got people behind him, and then Agent Coulson's trying to stop Fury, or at least he's been ordered to stop Fury, and then he catches up with Fury, and they're like, have you found him? And he's like, oh no, I don't know where he is, and he lets him go. But there is absolutely no way he would know that it wasn't a Skrull. So at that point in time, they thought the Skrulls were enemies, and he's just saw Nick Fury and said, "Oh, yep, I'll let him go," even though he was ordered to stop Nick Fury, but also he doesn't know who's a Skrull and who isn't a Skrull. And that's obviously comes up every now and then with the whole, these guys can disguise themselves as anyone. Why wouldn't they disguise themselves as that person in this circumstance or that person over there? There's a lot of sort of things, little things like that pop up. Just a problem with having shapeshifters all over the story. The tension for who Ben Mendelsohn was in the film, I thought was a bit poorly done if you know who's in the film, but it seemed to fool a lot of people in the viewing I saw. So I know who Ben Mendelsohn is, and I know what his voice sounds like. And he also, for whatever reason, is able to get away with having an Australian accent a lot of the times in the films he's in, whereas a lot of actors get told they got to put an American accent on. And so this green guy that sounded exactly like him, and I knew he was playing a green guy in the film, I thought, oh, that's him, okay. Then when he appears using his actual face in the film, he's disguised himself as the boss of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's using an American accent there, but I know what he looks like, so I went, oh, that's him in disguise. And so before it was revealed that that is actually him in disguise, I knew that that was him in disguise because I know what the actor looks like. A lot of people in the, or maybe not a lot, but some people I could hear in the cinema, when it was revealed with him, oh, that's him, that's that guy from before. So it fooled a lot of people, I guess, you know. Ben Mendelsohn's not a big known guy, so who knows who he is. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit strange that he's in disguise and then he's revealed as who he is. But if you know who he is, that's completely ruined on you when you get to that point in the film. You just know, hang on, that's Ben Mendelsohn. How he's running S.H.I.E.L.D., what? Ronan the Accuser, I think that's his name, from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's in this. He's one of the Kree. I have to brush up on what exactly the Kree are, but he's one of the Kree, so I didn't realize the Kree were the same guys from Guardians of the Galaxy trying to wipe out that planet. He rocks up to bust up Earth at some point. He's got a few of those big ships where he's got one of those in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain Marvel just basically flies through one and annihilates it, and she flies up in front of the screen so that he can see her, and he looks at his counterpart and they both just go, oh yeah, let's turn this around, and he becomes a laughingstock. It's the scene was kind of funny, people did laugh at it, but it doesn't in any way mesh with this guy being the bad guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now it is maybe 15 years earlier, but I don't know how old he's supposed to be, if this guy lives for thousands of years, or if he's, 10 years old in this film or whatever it is. But, yeah, making him the butt of a joke just felt a bit wrong to me. And obviously he was protected by plot armor, or well, maybe plot armor is not the right word, but, he's alive in a later film, so he can't die in this film. She just annihilates a ship with nothing. She says, oh, I'll fly through that, bang, ship's blown up. And then there's another ship there, and she goes, oh, I won't fly through that one. I'll just kind of give him a stare. And she just gives him this kind of haughty stare, and he goes, yep, okay, we'll just leave. So, she should have just blown them all up. And I guess that gets me onto her powers. She's ridiculous. She starts off very powerful, but doesn't have all her powers, quote-unquote, unlocked. She's got this chip in her neck that restricts them, so she can just basically blast stuff out of her hands. She's got some sort of, I think they might say photon beams or something, but she's got some sort of laser blasts that come out of her hands, and she can blow stuff up. She's blown up the sides of buildings and knocking holes in concrete and so on. So she's very, very strong with that power. She's physically very strong. She can throw around humans. Maybe not as well, she said in the interview, where I just look at dudes now and think I can toss them. But yeah, she's a lot stronger, so she's got some sort of superhuman strength that may be to do with the blood she has from the other guy from Jude Law. She's a very good fighter, so that's her general skills at the start. And she's basically indestructible, so nothing seems to be able to harm her, which, is not a very interesting character to write for, I'm sure. The fight scenes themselves are probably fine for most people. Maybe, 85% of people won't care. But it's very noticeable that Brie Larson herself obviously can't fight. All of them has got, the back of her head. It's got the stunt double, all the kicks, all the flips, everything. She obviously does absolutely none of the action. I know a lot of actors don't, but quite a few tried to do a little bit. She did make a big song and dance about how hard she was working out, and she was pushing trucks up hills or something. they don't show, she doesn't get her abs out or anything. She doesn't show anything other than her face in the whole film. I don't even think her hands are exposed at any point. Or maybe there are. She might not have gloves on when she changes clothes. But, yeah, her head's out and about. That's about it. I don't know why she bothered doing any kind of workout at all for the film. It's not like Chris Hemsworth, or whatever he's called, the guy that plays Thor. That dude gets on the TRT and makes sure everybody can see all the hard work he's put in the gym. There's, nothing here in this film for Brie Larson. Lashara Lynch plays Maria Rambeau. That's Carol Danvers' old buddy from when they were flying F-15s together. She's in the film a little bit at the end when Carol Danvers gets her memory back, or she actually finds her to get her memory back. She randomly goes into a bar, and this bar just happens to be a bar she used to hang out in. I don't know if I missed anything as to why she went in the bar. It looked to me like she just picked this bar to get into. I don't know, I might have that wrong, but I think she just went to the bar and happened to see, this is where I used to hang out. This is where all the air pilots used to hang out and so on. So that jogs her memory a little bit, although it's 6 years later. The arcade machine's still the same machine. Seemingly the place isn't updated. It's a little bit strange that in 6 years that wouldn't happen, but anyway, that's what we have. And then we get another bit of the whole sort of feminist, sexist part. There's a guy in there who's presumably a pilot, and it tells us something like, you won't be a pilot. And he says, hey, they don't call it a cockpit for nothing. And I just went, what? Really? Is that what we're going with? No one laughed. It was pretty weak. So, the cat. Everyone's raving about the cat. I thought the cat was stupid. The cat did not belong in the film. Having said that, the cat's one of the best things in the film. It was out of place. The cat is on a military installation that Nick Fury uses his shield credentials to get into. It's this NASA/military place where they've developed this light speed technology. It's a secret base, and there's a cat just kind of hanging around, wandering around. Now, it does kind of show later on that the cat was the pet of the Dr. Larson, the Annette Bening, and she's dead, but for whatever reason the cat's still allowed to roam around. So I just seemed like, really, you just got a cat going around this military hallway? This is kind of dumb. And then Nick Fury stops, and I think the scene's just in the trailer where he's, kitty, 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 he does all the kitty shit. And yeah, there were cat ladies in the crowd. They loved it. They loved the cat. The cat is, it's a good call for the demographic they're going for. I can't remember if I said in this review or not where it looked to me where the demographic is. I know I said in the other one. The film's clearly aimed at people that were alive in the 90s that are white females that like cats. This is what they're aiming for. Seems a little bit, I don't know if pandering's the right word. It's really insulting to go, these people are obviously cat people, but they were, and they like the cat. So if you're sort of 30 to 50 and white and female and you like cats, this is for you. This film is for you. Or maybe if you're 35 to 45, maybe that's the target zone. It's hard to say the film's geared towards kids. Kids will like it, but it's not a kids' film. It's a film with a lot of 90s nostalgia in it that's completely wasted on people that weren't alive in the 90s. So back to the cat. It's not a cat. It's I can't remember the name of the thing. Flufra. It's from the comics. It's some sort of alien that's basically a cat with friggin' tentacles that come out its mouth and can kill lots of people. So, but for most of the film, it's not. It's just a cat, or it looks like a cat, and Samuel Jackson is just really in love with this cat for absolutely no reason at all. Nick Fury, young Nick Fury, he's just a cat guy. He's loving the cat. He's got the cat with him, and then the cat kind of jumps on an airplane when they escape. He's like, "Oh, look, we got a passenger. No, look, who's a good kitty," and it's just not Nick Fury. It's kind of weak, I thought, but hey, if this is their target audience, it worked. Then people, from what I heard before the reviews are out, the sort of pre-reviews, they're saying the cat's great. Well, Samuel Jackson and the cat together, that's what they're talking about. The two of them together, there's a chemistry, and it's better than the chemistry of Captain Marvel and Nick Fury. The cat, it's a buddy cat show, you might say. And then later on, when they're kind of in trouble and Samuel Jackson's all surrounded. The cat suddenly like eats a whole pile of people, and then I think everyone just laughed and like what? And then he gives the cat a good look and kind of drops or whatever. And he's like what? But before that, the Ben Mendelsohn character, the Scree guy, is like, oh my god, get that away from me, and he's really scared of the cat, and they're like, what? What's wrong with this guy? It's just a cat. And he's like, that's not a cat. And then Samuel Jackson gets a little bit more respect for the cat after that. And then there's another amusing scene later on where, again, Samuel Jackson's kind of surrounded by some dudes, and so he picks up the cat and kind of points it like a gun. He's like, get him, and quite a few people are laughing at that in the crowd at the time. The cat doesn't do anything at that point in time, though. It doesn't actually help him out. But that's really all the cat did. When they find the Tesseract in the laboratory, they're like, oh, you hold the Tesseract, or we'll get the Tesseract, or something like that. And they're like, I'm not holding the Tesseract. The cat eats the Tesseract. Tentacles come out and eat it. And so Samuel Jackson he carries the cat, and the cat's got the Tesseract hidden inside itself. The last credit scene, there's two obviously scenes during the credits. The last credit scene has just got a desk, presumably it's Nick Fury's desk, and the cat rocks up, and the cat vomits. It does a good impression of chucking up a fur ball, and the Tesseract comes out with a whole pile of spit saliva as well. That was the last one, so there wasn't really much going on in the last credit scene, but it showed that the Tesseract had been quote-unquote returned to S.H.I.E.L.D., so it was on his desk. Nick Fury loses his eye in this. You find out how he loses the eye. I think his quote from one of the other films, I don't know if it was Avengers or which film it was, but he said, last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye, or words to that effect. I think I've got that right. So, the cat scratches his eye. He's holding the cat up near the end of the film, and he's just doing his whole, hey, kitty thing, and the cat gives a bit of a pawing to it, like a savage paw though, not just a little playful one, and it claws his eye. And that's it. There's a little bit of a running gag, but for his eye earlier in the film, he gets in a car crash and he busts up his eye a bit, and some people are like, how's the eye? And he's like, yeah, I think it'll be alright. And then when this happens, the cat scratches his eye, like, how's it? He goes, oh, it's only a scratch. And then the camera pans to Ben Mendelsohn, and he kind of gives a shake of his head like, nope, that eye won't be alright, which again was fairly funny because obviously, he loses his eye at some point. And then slightly later on from that, Agent Coulson rocks up with a case full of fake eyes for Nick Fury to pick from, which eye does he want to put in. So that's how he lost his eye. I don't know. I think it's a stretch of the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. I guess he was trusting the cat, but I don't know. It didn't seem to fit in for me. Yeah, the 90s stuff is not really that much to speak of, really. She wears a Nine Inch Nails t-shirt. She steals it off a mannequin. There's a scene just before that where she's trying to hide, I guess, with a newspaper covering her face, but she's still wearing a kind of rubbery suit, and some guy on a motorbike rocks up next to her, and he's like, hey darling, are you doing some scuba diving, or something like that, and he's like, hey, how about a smile? And she just ignores him, and then so she decides to steal his bike. So I guess that was a bit more of the whole old man is chauvinist part in the film. And she steals some clothes off the mannequin at that point to kind of disguise herself, because she is wearing a spacesuit that aliens wear. She kind of stands out a little bit walking around Earth. There's absolutely nothing in the film about the Avengers. There's no reason to go, I've got to see this because it could have some stuff in there. Now, there might be some Easter eggs, there might be some hidden things maybe, but it's got nothing to do with the whole Endgame story or Infinity War. The film is based in 1995. She crashes in 1989. And then the film is based in 1995. The end of the film is in 1995. Nick Fury's typing up a little document at the end about I think it was called the Protectors Initiative, I think the document said. And then he gets delivered a photograph of her on an airplane, and her nickname is Avenger. She's Carol Avenger Danvers. And so it shows him deleting the name. It doesn't actually show him typing in Avengers, I don't think, but obviously it's called the Avengers. So the Avengers are named after her. Her nickname is Avenger. Nowhere in the film I think they mentioned that that's her nickname, though, or her call sign, I should say. But that's where the Avengers come from now. It is her. She is maybe not the first Avenger. She is who the Avengers are actually named after. She's their namesake. The film in general feels a bit long. There are parts of it that just drag a bit. It's boring's maybe a little bit harsh in there. Maybe it's not actually. There were some bits that were boring. it's hard to pinpoint what exactly was wrong without seeing the film again. I'm not going to see the film again. I don't think too many people would see the film again, but it wasn't snappy. It wasn't to the point. I wasn't gripped by the film, unfortunately, so I wasn't invested in it. And the character of Captain Marvel, there was nothing there to invest in. It's just it was a blank slate, which maybe that's fine for someone with amnesia, but it's not interesting. It's not an interesting film. It's a superhero film. She wasn't interesting. She had boundless power. As I said at the start, she could shoot beams out of hands, and she was already basically invincible. And then she kind of rips the chip off her neck, or in fact, it might burn off. She just gets that angry, and that's her sort of doing her whole my emotions are out of control. Although her emotions were never out of control in the film. The chip goes away, and then you find out that, oh yeah, she can fly, and she can just basically blow up everything. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she could fly through the sun and cause the galaxy to explode. That's just how ridiculous it was. There's zero tension about her. I mean, obviously she's not going to die in the film, but it doesn't mean she should be this powerful. Now, yes, they build her as the most powerful Avenger. Yeah, she is the most powerful Avenger. I don't know how they're going to explain why she doesn't just kill Thanos the first second of whatever they do in Endgame. Like, I don't understand how they can make her so powerful, and then they're gonna have to make her not quite as powerful. There's no way Thanos was shown to be anywhere near as powerful as Captain Marvel is in this film. There is no comparison between the two of them, so I don't know why she won't just single-handedly destroy him. The only thing I assume is maybe she got her power indirectly from the Tesseract, and that's in Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe that means she can't have any power over him. I don't know. Something's going to have to be made up, but the way she's portrayed in this film is she has a ridiculous amount of power, and she is completely invulnerable. She can fall from orbit onto the ground, fly into hit a blockbusters, as you see in the trailer. Yeah. And yeah, back to the 90s nostalgia stuff. He has a blockbusters in there. There's a poster, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger and True Lies. It was on there pretty quickly. She zaps that to begin with. That got a good laugh out of the crowd. There's a few songs from the 90s in there. There's some garbage. The end credits have got Celebrity Skin by Hole on that. There's an absolutely ridiculous fight near the end where it's put to I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt. And the song, I don't know what the deal was, if it wasn't bassy enough as well in the theater I was in, but the song felt completely flat, and it felt stupid. I'm just a girl and she's beating up all these people. Now, what was interesting was some of the people she's beating up are alien females, so it wasn't 100% white men running at her for her to beat up, and she's just a girl. But the song didn't land for me as being a song that you can put a fight to. I'm not really sure why, but it didn't seem just a correct kind of song. The lyrics are there for what they're going for, but just the actual music didn't seem to gel well with me for what was going on there. Other than that, obviously, there weren't really mobile phones around. Fury's rocking a pager. That pager is what Captain Marvel takes away and then modifies to give to him, which is the one he activates before he gets dusted in the Infinity War. So that's where the actual pager comes from. Other than that, yeah, obviously the cars and stuff look like they're from the 90s, but there's not as much 90s type stuff as I thought they might fit into there. And there's a lot less songs than I thought they would actually put into the film. And I can't remember if I mentioned or not, but they didn't have a song from the Spice Girls, the girl power band from the late 90s. So that was surprising. I expected a bit of Spice Girls to be put into the film. At the end of the film, she has a little showdown with Jude Law. So at the start of the film, Jude Law is a sort of mentor, and he's teaching her to fight hand to hand, and he doesn't want her using her powers when she does it, and he beats her, and he's like, when you're able to beat me, you'll finally be allowed to use your powers. And then at the end, he gets there and he's like, I'm so proud of you, and he puts his gun away, and he's sort of like, we're going to fight without powers, and she does an Indiana Jones and just zaps him. So I thought that was what was going to happen. I kind of saw it a mile away. The crowd had a good reaction to it though, so that went down pretty well. A lot of the crowd seemed to me like they hadn't seen a trailer. They really liked it when she smashed the grandma, the one that's in the trailer. She gets on the train and there's a grandmother there, and she cracks her in the head. Well, it's obviously the Skrull in disguise. There was a lot of people that I think were surprised that actually happened. So I have a feeling, I don't know why, that a lot of people there hadn't seen a trailer and had absolutely no idea what Captain Marvel was. And some of them seemed like they enjoyed it, but that's probably where most of the moving-going audience was. They obviously had no idea if any crazy things that Brie Larson's been saying about who should or shouldn't review films, or who a film was made for, and so on. So I don't think many people even have a clue such things have been going on. And that's really about it, other than the other scene from the credits. The first credit scene has got I guess the end of the film is Captain Marvel says, "I'm going to find you guys a homeworld or something." She's gonna save all the Skrulls. They're saying, "Oh, we're all over the galaxy, and there's thousands of us left." And then she sort of says she's going to go back to the homeworld of the Kree and put some smackdown on them. So that's kind of what's hinted at. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a sequel to this film, and I imagine they will unless it completely bombs, that they might do the sequel in the 90s and keep the music going as well, perhaps. But instead of actually having it after the Avengers, what the hell's the Avengers called? The Endgame. After Endgame. So, not saying they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just do another film back then in the 90s as a sequel. Buddy Lashira Lynch. I mentioned her about something. I don't think I mentioned her too much here. She plays Maria Rambeau. Maria Rambeau is the mother of the original female Captain Marvel, the Black Captain Marvel. So I think that gives Marvel an interesting out. I don't think Marvel's smart enough to use it, but if Brie Larson is so hated and the box office of this film does very poorly, I think they could have a film where they kill her off, and then she passes the mantle to a new Black Captain Marvel, and that way they can keep up their quota. They can use an actual existing character who was Captain Marvel, and they can kill off Brie Larson, which I think would please people. Now, I don't think they would do that, but to me it really seems like a smart move to just go, alright, we'll move it over to a minority to play the part, and people don't like you. How about we kill someone off a lot of the crowd doesn't like? And can the social justice warriors really complain about the white privileged woman passing it on to a underrepresented black woman? I don't think so. So it seems like that's a winner. I don't think Disney would ever do it, though. So before I keep rambling too much, back to the end credit scene. So, Fury has his pager at the Avengers headquarters now. All of the existing Avengers, well, some of the existing Avengers, I suppose, are there. You've got Hulk. You've got I don't know, who's the Black Iron Man? What is his name? War Machine. War Machine's there. You've got Scarlett Johansson's there, and you've got Captain America there, and they got the pager there, and then the pager runs out of power, and they're like, "Oh no, what's happened? We've run out of power. Something must happen. Hook it back up. Oh my god!" And then the camera turns around, and there is Captain Marvel, and she just looks at him and says, "Where's Fury?" She doesn't deliver the line that well, but I don't know. It's as well as she does all the other stuff. Probably it's actually probably better than the rest of her portrayal in the film. But that was that scene there. It's probably taken from a scene inside the actual upcoming film, I'd imagine. So that would be where she meets up with them. But other than that, there is absolutely nothing about all of the Avengers or anything like that in the film. There's no reason to see this film as a linking point between the two Avengers films, other than if you just want to see more Avenger type or MCU type films. That's what you get here. The fighting scenes are a bit ordinary. Special effects, it's a bit ordinary. The plot's good. The portrayal of Captain Marvel's pretty ordinary. But on a whole, what else are you going to see? If you want to see a movie, particularly if you've seen everything else out, yeah, you'll probably see this film. If you haven't seen Alita Battle Angel, you're probably better off spending your time seeing that. But this film's hyped up. People have heard of it. This is pushed on it. Alita Battle Angel probably isn't in cinemas anymore, actually, so you might not be able to see that film. So I'm sure I've forgotten a lot, but sort of getting a little bit rambly and forgetting some of the things I might have spoken about, so I don't want to really go over the same material more than once. I might make another video actually condensing all of these crazy things into something that's very coherent and might make some sense. But if you've listened this far, good job. And hopefully, if you were curious as to some of the events that happen, some spoilers, hopefully I've covered most of the things quite adequately. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.